Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. So as you can see behind me, I am no longer in the Airbnb that I have been staying in for the last 4 months. So basically I had a flood a few months ago and I had to move into the Airbnb because all my place had to be restored, the flooring, all my furniture had to be put into storage. It was a whole big deal. But now I am back, I am in my apartment and so excited because today I'm going to be talking to you about the most common lighting mistakes that I see over and over and over again, as well as some tips for how you can fix them. Okay, so mistake number one that I see over and over and over again is people selecting the wrong temperature lighting for their space. So let's first give you a little crash course in lighting temperature. So the unit of measurement here is called Kelvin, and if you're looking at something that's like a 2700 to maybe even closer to 3000 Kelvin, that is a really warm lighting. So you're gonna see it kind of has like an orangey golden sort of hue to it. On the other end of the spectrum, once you start getting into 5000 Kelvin, you're starting to get into sort of daylight balance lighting. You're getting into sort of that bluish tinged cooler lighting. And what I see over and over again is people go to the hardware store, they grab some light bulbs off the shelf, they plug it into their light fixtures, and their place looks like a hospital, which is something you see over and over and over again. And that's because they are using light bulbs that are daylight balanced. They're using ones that are higher on that Kelvin, could be like 5000 Kelvin, and those light bulbs are not really meant to go in a lighting fixture, say in your living room or in your bedroom. Those are meant for things like hospitals, which is what you made your living room look like, didn't you? They are meant for retail, they're meant for offices, because they give you a lot of energy. That's what they're there for. They're not really meant for sort of relaxation and for, say, a living room or a bedroom setting. So what you're gonna look for is choosing probably closer to the warmer or into the neutral end of that range. And you know that Airbnb I told you about where I've been living in? That's where this inspiration for this video came from, because they had golden sort of 2700 probably Kelvin light bulbs in the lamps, but then above they had this like 5000 Kelvin white light that I never turned on. So tips on how to fix this. I would say that in things like bedrooms or living rooms or even in dining room areas, your probably best bet is to use something like a 2700 or even a 3000 Kelvin light bulb. Something in the 3000, maybe even as high as 4000 range is really great for bathrooms, could be great for outdoor, it could be really good for entryways, hallways, things like that. And I would save those 5000 Kelvin light bulbs in the home. I would use that maybe in a basement with like no natural light, but again, like you really got to be careful with that, or maybe even something like a garage. Okay, mistake number two that I see over and over again is people just using one light bulb and plunking it into the center of the room and calling it a day. This is when, again, people go to the hardware store, they grab a light bulb and they just stick it in the center of the room and they don't care about any accented lighting. They don't care about different layers of lighting. And the reason this is a mistake is because it doesn't create lighting that's really attractive or maybe really visually interesting. So you're just basically getting lighting playing off of one source. It's going to create a lot of really harsh shadows and it's not going to create a space that's visually interesting. So the solution to that is to provide layers of lighting in your space. So how to do that? The three areas of lighting are ambient lighting, task lighting, and accent lighting. So ambient lighting is everything from a chandelier, could be pendants, it could be recessed lighting in the ceiling, it could be pot lights, but basically the ambient lighting is kind of the first light that really is there to serve the function of kind of helping you navigate the space. It's there to basically light the room, and again, you might have several different types of ambient lighting in a space to make it a little bit more interesting and sort of just add a little bit of dimension into your space. The second type of lighting is called task lighting, which, you know, seems obvious by the name, but task lighting is there basically to serve the function of helping you or assisting you in the task that you're doing. So an example of that would be, say, a bathroom vanity, or it could be lighting strips for when you open your doors. It could be under counter or under your cabinets in your kitchen. It could be lighting pendants over top of your island or over top of your peninsula. So task lighting is there to provide lighting to accomplish a specific task in your space. And then the third type of lighting is going to be accent lighting. So this is lighting that exists to sort of accent and sort of emphasize a specific maybe piece of art in your space. Could be maybe a console table or something that you kind of have that you really want to draw attention to. So that can be in the form of like a wall sconce, or it can be in the form of a spotlight, just some sort of a way to sort of accent a specific area of the home that you're really trying to emphasize. So by incorporating all different types of lighting, you're able to create a space that's much more dynamic, much more interesting, and you're really able to sort of visually play off of the different decor pieces and design of your space, as opposed to just fitting that one stupid light bulb in the center of the room that's not really doing you any favors. Okay, the third mistake that I see over and over again is people being content with just the builder grade fixtures that they've been given. Specifically looking at you, boob light. You know what I mean? Like people just kind of taking the lighting that they were given, maybe when they bought the place or when they moved in if they're a renter, and they just say, okay, well that's the lighting, that's there, I don't have to do anything with it. The biggest thing that people do, the biggest mistake is they just don't change it. They don't change their lighting. They just stick with whatever crap is basically sitting in their ceiling. And that's not really that interesting. And remember, spaces are three-dimensional. So a lot of the times people just kind of think of their space as just going outward, but you want the eye to travel up and down as well. You want to be able to draw attention into, you know, the three-dimensional space that is your home. And so lighting is a really big part of that because it moves the eye up and down to create a space that's more interesting. So you're really not doing yourself any favors by not swapping out that really builder grade basic lighting. There are so many amazing lighting fixtures, and by the way, they're not even super expensive. I'm going to link a bunch now. I can link a bunch down in the description from Amazon or Wayfair or IKEA, lots of different places. There's so much lighting. It's usually really quite affordable. You don't have to go crazy with lighting. It's a great way to save money, is just to buy some cheaper lighting fixtures. They're going to be way more interesting than some basic boob light. And by the way, here's a tip for you renters, because I've rented most of my life. I can tell you that most places, depending on your country and your state or province or whatever, but most places, most landlords will allow you to swap out the lighting so long as you just put the other lighting back. So I did that in my last place. I took out the boob light and I popped it into a closet and shoved it in there for 3 years, and I put up my own lighting fixture and I stuck it there for a few years, and then when I moved out I just swapped them back. So you can absolutely do that. Obviously depends on the law of your kind of local area, but don't use an excuse just because you're renting that you need to have crappy lighting. You can absolutely upgrade it and just change it out at the end. Okay, mistake number 4 that I see with lighting all the time. Yeah, it happens quite a bit, unfortunately, and that is blinding your guests. Allow me to explain. First of all, don't blind your guests. It seems obvious, but I see so many spotlights where spotlights are tricky, right? Because like you don't just want to point them directly down, because if you do, it's just really boring and you might as well just get pot lights at that point. So you're looking at these spotlights, and the great part is that you can sort of manipulate them and sort of twist them and kind of highlight and accent different pieces in your space, which is awesome. That's why spotlights can be great. But be really careful about things like mirrors and hallways and people's different heights, because I'm 6'1", and if you're maybe 5'2", sorry, I'll put the metric, what that is, down below. If you're maybe 5'2" and I'm 6'1", like we're going to experience spotlights a little bit differently. So just make sure to really test out all different angles, different hallways, different ways that you can sort of interact with that light. Because so many times I walk into a space and I'm absolutely blinded with this, like, you know, interrogation light bulb shining in my eyes. So one time I was at a friend's house. She's probably watching this. So like I was sitting there on the couch and I was enjoying their company, and I just couldn't stand the fact there was a light bulb while I was sitting on this couch shining. This spotlight was shining directly in my face. So I waited until they weren't looking, and then I went up and twisted it because I just couldn't stand the fact that I was being blinded while sitting in their house. Okay, mistake number 5 that I see all the time is not using dimmers. So it's 2021. There's no excuses for this anymore. There are light bulbs with little apps attached. There are dimmers that you can get on your wall. There's lots of different ways that you can add a dimmer. And again, here, although with the smart bulbs, you can also change the color temperature, so C.1. Yeah, so this just means basically that during the daytime, you can turn them down or turn them off, but maybe you want a little bit of lighting in the day, you know, when there's more natural light. But then in the evening, of course, when it's darker outside, you can turn the brightness up, and that goes a long way to just make sure that your space, you know, the brightness of the lighting is going to work for the time of day and for the task that you are doing. Okay, so that's it for me for today, guys. I'm going to link here to a playlist of interior design mistakes, so feel free to check that out if you're interested in learning about more mistakes and how to fix them. And I will see you all in the next video. Thanks, bye.